Entitled Ex-Boss Wants Me Back. Several months ago, I picked up a side job at a local bar/cafe. It's quite a popular place, and my sister and I used to go in a lot since she's friendly with the landlady. We were talking about her looking for help behind the bar one day a week in the evenings, and I agreed to give it a go after she posed the offer to me. I was going through a bit of a stagnant phase in life and thought it could be fun and worth the extra money. Although I already work full-time, it's hybrid, so I have more flexibility around things outside the office, and she said she understood if other work commitments needed prioritizing. I have never worked in a bar/done barista before, and there was absolutely zero proper training. My first shift, the landlady showed me where everything was and immediately got me on serving customers while she disappeared off to do other things. I knew next to nothing about what wines or beers we had on stock, how to measure and pour all the different drinks, enter all the items correctly on the till, how to navigate the coffee machine. I burned myself on the steamer more times than I care to remember, but the regulars gave me plenty of grace and advice, and I muddled through. I stuck it out since the extra cash in my pocket certainly didn't hurt, but it was stressful and physically demanding even at the best of times. It was often loud and busy in there, with live music or karaoke playing. You'd be on your feet, constantly running back and forth, bending and lifting heavy crates in and out of the dishwasher, getting your clothes and shoes soaked with beer. It was a tiny space behind the bar, and the landlady seemed to have zero spatial awareness, so she'd bustle in behind you to grab things while you were in the middle of serving, knocking past your elbows while you're trying to pour, squashing you into the beer taps, tripping you and blocking you in while she stood to talk to people, and expecting you to contort around her with your hands full of pints or hot drinks. She also had a habit of telling you off about doing stuff wrong. Either something she'd never bothered to show you properly, or that you'd been doing the way she showed you for weeks. Like she'd just decide on a whim she wanted something doing differently, and you were expected to know and immediately correct it. She'd pull me aside to lecture me about the most random things, like the volume I was talking over the bar, the type of mug I used for someone's tea, or the way I arranged the candles on the table. My agreed shift was 6 to 11 p.m. close, but we often didn't finish until gone half 11, since the landlady would let regulars stay longer or extend last orders when it was busy, and she would let me go closer to midnight a lot of the time, knowing I'd been at work all day and that I was going to be up for work again the following morning. I got added to the staff WhatsApp group to keep up to date, and it was mostly a stream of passive-aggressive essays from the landlady randomly updating all the shift/bar rules and expecting everyone to follow along, or calling everyone out on how things were being done wrong. Since she didn't actually train anyone properly, it just got ignored. Instead of planning cover for events, she expected everyone to just be able to pitch in to pick up the slack, would frequently be asking for people to stay longer or pick up extra hours, and there was always a sense of urgency and guilt tripping around it, like, we really need everyone to pull together and help out, guys. Most of the other staff were part-time and had other full-time jobs or commitments like me. She would message me individually asking if I could do extra shifts as well, or wait to pitch last-minute requests on me in person, hoping I'd say yes if she put me on the spot. A couple of times I caved because I had the free time and energy, and conveniently those shifts always ended up being the most busy and stressful. There were a handful of people who the landlady let in that were barred from all the other places in town, like this alcoholic woman who always made weird comments about your appearance and tried to reach out and grope you inappropriately, the middle-aged married man who sat at the bar leering and making gross misogynistic jokes and asking all the girls for hugs, the dodgy group of lads who were always off their faces, trying to intimidate and threaten people and start fights. The landlady never seemed bothered about any of this and wouldn't really support us if me or other staff brought up feeling uncomfortable when they came in. In fact, she'd often continue to enable them by giving them what they wanted. She started to take liberties leaving staff on their own without notice and would put her partner in charge while she went off on holiday, but he knew nothing about running the place and would just disappear off for ages. So if it was a busy shift, you were totally on your own. There were so many times I was forced to do things I didn't feel safe or comfortable doing, like leaving the bar until completely unattended to make food in the kitchen, or having to lift and carry massive crates of drinks and empty glass across the slippery paved courtyard in the rain. There was absolutely no planning for the volume of customers we would regularly have to manage alone, and could easily have 30-plus people on an evening packed into the bar area. The last few months I was under a huge amount of extra unexpected stress and pressure from my regular job, so I think the landlady could tell I was getting burned out, but she rarely tried to check in or ask how I was doing. I went through a phase of suffering panic attacks quite badly a few years ago, and I had my first one in ages in the middle of a shift at the pub when nobody was around to help. I also had to go to my doctor's a few times in as many months because I kept breaking out in odd rashes, probably from stress, and the medication they put me on was making me incredibly nauseous if I didn't eat at regular intervals, which I wasn't doing, or sleeping. I kind of hit rock bottom after a horrendous couple of weeks at work around November time. Big organizational changes dropped on us without warning, multiple days of overtime and working through lunches / not getting up from my desk or seeing sunlight for hours while more and more things continuously got piled on me, and everyone else involved is conveniently out of office. I asked the landlady if I could swap out my next shift to give me a break, which is something I absolutely hate doing. And she told me she wasn't going to be there, so couldn't help me out. No one else was available, so I had to go in. And it ended up being one of the busiest nights I'd had. The landlady's partner, of course, was nowhere to be seen, so I was left to drown. It was so stressful that within the first hour, some of the regular customers kept coming to ask if I was okay because I must have looked like I was on the verge of having a breakdown. I couldn't hold a glass steady or even make eye contact when they were speaking to me. At some point, I honestly wasn't even aware of time passing. The landlady's partner decided to appear to grab his coat, told me he was going home to have dinner, and fucked off until closing. No more than 2 days later, I got a message from the landlady asking if I was available to take an extra shift that Saturday, and that broke me. I told her no, but that I would drop in to see her after work, and I think she could tell something was up from that because when I came in and asked her for a chat, she pretty much immediately and bluntly asked me if I wanted to quit. I was quite stunned by her attitude, not sure if she was angry or if I should be angry about her being angry, but I kept my cool and we had a brief conversation about things. She didn't put up any fight, just offered to keep me on the group chat in case I ever wanted to pick up the odd shift here and there. I told her I'd need some time to think about that. I stayed for a quick drink and went home to try and enjoy my weekend off. About a month and a half went by where I tried to forget about the pub, when just before Christmas my sister convinced me to go in for a drink with her, and I very briefly saw the landlady who immediately on clocking me goes, "Oh, so when are you coming back then?" I just laughed it off and ignored her, as I have no intention of going back at all. I just got back from a weekend away seeing the rest of my family for Christmas / New Year, and am straight back at work. It's been so busy I haven't been able to take any time off between the bank holidays, so I've been trying to fit in traveling and other plans around meetings and other shit, which is stressful enough. I look at my phone and notice a message from the landlady asking if I'm free the next day, New Year's Eve, to come in and do a shift in the middle of the day, because apparently she has loads of staff off and she's desperate. Then she tops it off with, "And let's have a chat about you coming back in the new year." I am completely dumbfounded by this message, as she's not even reached out to check in with me until now. Not to mention it's a normal weekday, so she knows I'm working. I just ignored the message, and later noticed it had been deleted from the chat history. My sister did go in for a drink there last night though, and she's just messaged me saying it was crazy busy and the landlady was asking about me and that she missed me. Sure thing.